another. I'm gonna hit this record button. I probably shouldn't have done that. That's okay. I'll yell go when we're gonna go. But we're gonna talk about Atticus's film that's getting uploaded to many movies. I
Oh
got a bunch
God.
of interview questions, and then we can just do business as usual as well. Um,
Yeah, we got
Beautiful.
Jack and I. We went and saw Alien the other day, so we can talk
Nice.
about that. We can talk about
Yep.
Alien 3. I can talk about
Thank
the
you,
first
Noah.
30 minutes of Clueless.
Wow.
Oh, dude, I love Clueless.
Dude, it
So,
was
wait, I
cracking
wanna-
me up. It was so funny.
I love Clueless.
Can I just say something about Alien 3, Noah?
No, it
Cole,
sucks.
Cole comes down. He's like, let's watch Alien 3. And I was like, I fucking hate Alien 3. I don't want to watch Alien 3. And he's like, let's watch Alien 3. And I was like, fine, I'll watch Alien 3. And then I popped up the Blu-ray and I put it in my PlayStation and it didn't work. And I was like,
Oh,
thank
man.
God. And then he comes down and goes, it's on Disney Plus now, because of the Hulu thing.
Oh, man.
And lo and behold, we had to watch Alien 3.
You poor son of a gun.
I have-
And then
I have
and then
some
the
good
very
things to say
next
about
day,
it.
and then the very next day, I had to go watch Alien Romulus.
I saw Alien Romulus with the third brainer last night, so
I heard.
I would like to talk about it.
Yeah, we should. Atticus, you seen Alien Romulus?
I have not.
Okay, we'll put you in a hot seat, and you'll have to talk about it without having seen it, which is
I would love to hear
you
that.
just make up details. All right. I'm gonna hit the action button. Okay. Hi everybody, and welcome to Podcast Motion Picture. Today it's me, Reed, with Jack and Noah and Cole, and also special guest star of the day, our good friend Atticus Hodges. For those of you joining us here, we used to work on movies, indie films. And we haven't done that in a while, but our friend Atticus here has just got one. Well, he got one a long time ago that he put together, and it's stellar as shit. And just lately, we're going to end up putting it on our mini movies channel on YouTube to join all the other ones. Yeah. So that's going to be cool. He's going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about movies just like normal. And I got to say, we've got 5 of us here. I like looking at all you guys again. This is nice. I miss seeing everybody.
Of course. A lot of glasses on the screen tonight, too.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
of you audio listeners out there, Jack, Cole, and Atticus are fucking nerds who wear glasses. They're nerds.
Well, yeah, the blue light glasses, man, they help the eyes.
I'll
So
say
much
they help my eyes because I keep looking at you. Wink, wink. All right, Atticus, why don't you go ahead and tell the world about yourself? All right, go ahead, say something about yourself.
I love this. No prompt, just tell the world about myself. Well, I am Atticus Hodges, everybody. I know these bozos from college.
Hey.
Jack Brainerd was actually the very first person I met in college, and
It's a good one.
that is yeah. So everything was uphill from there, basically.
Generous.
Yeah. Right now, just kind of living post-college life. I went to college for degrees in English and stats, and right now trying to make some movies, break into the film business if I can, but just tell stories that I love, and that I want to make. Is that enough for the world?
Yeah, I think so. The way I ask that actually is like my least favorite way that I get asked to introduce myself to people. They're like, why don't you tell us about yourself? It's like, what do you want to know? I do a lot of things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to work with drug addicts. I also play piano. I've got a niece I like. I'm very angry most of the time. Like, what do you want to know about me?
A wide range.
The duality of me. Okay.
The wide, wide world to read.
Well, yeah. So everybody listening, it's been like about 3 years, I think, since we last had an upload to our channel about any type of movie. And so Atticus is going to break that dry spell by planting his seed of this film.
Why are you saying it like that?
I wrote it down. Well, somebody wrote it down.
You wrote that down. You wrote that down.
Somebody
You wrote
wrote
down
something.
You wrote that down. I'm gonna say Atticus is implanting a seed in our fucking YouTube channel.
No, but
You wrote that down. You wrote that and you went, that sounds good. You
But you-
didn't. You George Lucased it. You looked at it. He wrote down, "I don't like sand," and he went, "That's fucking genius. That's what you just did."
No, but you could believe I would write that. We got good reviews on the podcast. But anyway, no, sorry, we're not going to talk about last week's episode right this second because we got to get Atticus's thing because I'm going to try to. Anyway, Atticus, I have some questions I've written down. I hope you're ready to face the music and address these things. All right.
I sure hope I am as well.
Okay. So everybody, Atticus made this film. It is a story. Originally, it had a different title than what it'll be uploaded as. It's going to be called, as it's put on there. I think it'll be released the same day as when this podcast is going to come out next Tuesday. It is called Far from the Tree, Atticus Hodges film, starring Atticus Hodges and Parker Hodges. Going to be awesome. He did a wonderful job. It's got about a 15-16 minute runtime, I think. After a little bit, I'd taken it and just tweaked a couple things, so some of the runtime might be a little off from what we might know before. It is marvelous. So I don't have to make Atticus talk about his thoughts of it all. I'll just, as the viewer, explain to everybody. It's a story about somebody struggling with this world that he doesn't really want to be in so much. He's living this life that's not really befit to what he is interested in. And it's a very quiet movie in which no matter how silent it might seem at times, you can very easily latch on to what's going on. So I dug the hell out of it. Now, Atticus, some questions.
Great.
Where do you get your ideas from?
No,
don't answer that. That's an old Norm Macdonald joke.
Okay.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you were naming the movie, were you thinking about squirrels?
No, you're thinking of apples because they don't fall far from a tree, right?
There you go. That's right.
No,
Oh,
there is no answer.
Yeah, there's no right answer, Jack. Quit trying to say there's a right answer. There's only right
a
questions.
squirrel.
Atticus, why did you want to tell this story?
It's a good question. Well, I've been writing I guess I've been writing for a while, but like writing with the mindset of having a film to make for about a year. And initially I was writing more ambitious stories in terms of production value and what I'm capable of doing right now. So when I wrote this film, I was trying to think of a very simple setting because I just kind of wanted to make anything, if possible, just by myself, just to like get some sort of product out there that made me feel like I was doing something. So that was the very initial reason why I wanted, because it's just in my parents' house, so it was super easy to do. And I knew it would be easy to make if it was just two characters. And so that kind of spawned the setting. And then from that, I've been working with youth a lot throughout my whole life. I worked at a summer camp for 5 years, and I've seen the effect that technology has had on their lives and just being engrossed in screens all the time rather than the world around them. And not just kids, but also me. I feel like a lot of people our generation struggle with that. So that's kind of the main reason I wanted to tell this story. I wanted to present an issue that I feel like is not talked about a lot or like even recognized a lot. And then just start a conversation surrounding it. I love films that ask questions but don't necessarily give answers. So long-winded answer, but that's the answer.
Oh, that's a good answer. We specialize in long-winded answers here. Sometimes our
Great.
long-winded answers actually cover each other's long-winded answers. All right.
Long-winded answers, the podcast.
Now, who do you feel that this story is for? Who is going to get something out of this?
Another good question. I would say anybody that feels a disconnect from the people they are around, whether that's like you're walking down a mall and you decide to put your phone in your pocket for 15 seconds and look around and you see everybody else on their phone and you're like, what the hell is going on right now? Or parents at the dinner table. I mean, so many times I've heard in my life that parents just would wish that they could get their kids off their phones. And that might be frustrating to me, to people similar to my age, people in high school, middle school, whatever, but there is a rhyme and reason to it. So I feel like anybody that feels like there's just disconnect with the people they love and the people they care about and just with the world, I feel like this will be an interesting film to watch and connect to that feeling, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. I've got in my own life an instance of a weird moment that I've never had before and I never had after about phones, in which I thought there was a disconnect going on, and boy, gee, was I wrong. Like one of the first times I was ever hanging around my girlfriend Maddie's family, they were all on their phones, and the way that my parents kind of brought me up was like, if there's family around, like put your shit away and do not be on your phones or anything, and you talk to everybody. And so I like kept nagging everybody. I was like, oh, weird fucking moment of my life was I was like down talking to my girlfriend's family, who this is like the second time I'm around them, the first time that's like in a house, and they're on their phones doing their thing, and I'm like, you assholes. And it was like, why would I think that was the right idea? But anyway, so other than that, I've never had an incident where you're not in the right, where I feel like people have a huge disconnect by being on their phones and don't get whole conversations.
Yeah, it's
You
not
remember?
like I don't know.
Sorry, Atticus.
No, you're good. What's
No,
up?
keep going. Say what you're gonna say. Say what you're gonna say.
Yes, say with your chest.
Well, I was just gonna say, if I can remember what I was gonna say. Yeah, lost my train of thought actually.
That's all right. We do that too. Okay. Well, now that we've talked a little bit about the story, I've got to ask, what was your favorite part of the production?
Oh man, that's hard because that's the one area that I feel most uncomfortable, if that makes sense, because I have no experience beyond this one film. And I was just using my phone as a camera, which I was already frustrated with to begin with because the camera quality is not the greatest and it's really hard to keep your phone still if you're holding it. Like there are so many shots in there where I can just see the camera like shaking almost because I'm trying to hold it still. So that's difficult, but what was really fun was there's a few scenes in the basement of my parents' house where me and my dad had a lot more fun playing with the lighting and trying to make it like more colorful and like more contrasting color based on different shots and based on like it starts out with just me as the actor, as the character, whatever you want to say, looking at a movie screen. And it was cool to try and get the effect of like the light from the screen coming on me, which obviously just having the screen itself was helpful, but it's hard to like get a solid coloring on your face and have it not be like distracting almost. So that was cool. And like getting proper lighting from like there's a behind the back shot of me as well. And then eventually my dad opens the door, and so that brings new lighting and new color into the atmosphere. So yeah, long story short, the lighting and the basement scenes were kind of the first time I got to be a little bit more creative in creating the shots, instead of just like finding an interesting place to put the camera and angle it towards whatever the subject is for the frame and for the shot. So yeah,
I'm very glad you brought that up, because something I want to bring up is in my mind, I don't know how you separate your own film in this. In my mind, looking at this movie that you made, there's like 3 acts, which I'm going to talk a little bit about what we see in this. You get first act is kind of your dad alone in that room and walking through the house, and then the second act is in the basement, and then the third act is when you guys make it outside.
Right.
And I would say that first act, everybody, between us 4 gentlemen who've done this together before, the first act vibes with me in the same way that we used to do kind of the IB films, just the way of thought we put into it. I know that some of ours got a little bit off the rails at times, but I just go back to where we would try to step up and have, because we would make films and they would be whatever we wanted them to be, telling a funny story. But then IB film studies came along and we thought, how do we take this up to the next level and have a shot where we can tell this, or have a shot where we can do this? And Atticus in this first act, it's like his mind went to that, and right from the get-go, he was just doing all of these things. It was really awesome. And then, Jack, I see you smirking, and I know what you want to talk about, but no, we're not talking about that. We're not doing that. All right. Not yet.
Can I ask, was it as artistic in integrity as having a tasteful nude scene? Because in IB film studies, we had a tasteful nude scene. So
Okay,
I don't know if
get
you're
around to that
comfortable.
one of these
We'll get
episodes.
around to that.
Anyway, but Atticus, as you brought up, the lighting that you worked on, when I watch it, and I've watched it many times now because I had to take it and I was doing a little bit of work on it myself, but just from the few times I watched it before I did it, and then all the time watching it, it's like I could just see all of the shots that you had, and it was like, you're not just taking camera shots. You are putting thought into each of these shots in the basement for sure. And I know a lot of them, I'm sure every single one of them you put thought in because, I'm sure you're hyperfixated on it. But really, guys, when you get around to seeing this yourselves, this basement scene, it's not the longest part of it all, but I really do mean it. Every time that the camera switches somewhere else, you're going to notice there's something going on. Not like something in the background's going on. I think like just you're going to notice human thought and emotion from Atticus, and each time he holds that camera up. So I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's probably what gets me so energized. Well, one of the reasons anyway. And then, let me go vice versa on this. What do you think the hardest part of the production was on this?
Of just the production. So like from like it could be from writing to sending it onto YouTube.
Anything at all, yeah.
Wait, before you answer that, which software for editing did you use? And why was it unfortunately DaVinci Resolve?
So that's a really, really great question, Jack. And yes, it was DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
And I think you already know what the answer is to why. And the why is because it's free.
Yeah.
What was the record for crashes we had? I think, was it 5 times?
On which one?
I'm trying to remember. I was editing a video for film studies, and I think DaVinci crashed on me 5 times while I was editing it.
Yeah. God, it's bullshit.
Never did that for me, thankfully.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. What was the hardest part of all that production? What part did you not like? And I'm sure you had likes about whatever this problematic situation might have been. But what thing did you think was like, I want to fucking shoot myself right now?
I think so. The most difficult part for me was planning the shoot itself, if that makes sense, because I had no experience in shooting a film ever, at least not one that's planned like this. Like I think Reed, you watched like the Gerald videos. So I had done those before this, but that was very much like spoofy, on the fly, nothing super contained. And so trying to figure out like what shots I wanted to get, because I didn't want to go in just like blindly trying to find a shot and frustrating both me and my dad on how much time it was going to take, because I wanted to do it over the course of 2 to 3 days. And actually I kind of had to. So trying to figure out how to navigate like getting shots from one spot, and if I needed to get different takes from that same spot, like that happen at different times in the story, and just navigating the time it takes to set all of them up. It's so it was really frustrating to just like being patient with myself and not trying to rush things, because that led to another frustration later in the editing room where I felt like I might not have had long enough takes for B-roll, for instance, or like long enough like pauses where my dad is just like looking out the window, for instance. And it just was kind of, so that frustration in the pre-production led to more frustration in the editing room. But the editing room was more fun because I like solving challenges and solving puzzles, and that's kind of what it kind of felt like. So yeah.
I dig it. Okay, well, I'm gonna go around the room real quick. I got more questions for you about it all, but before I do that, I'm gonna go around the room and I'll start with Jack. Jack, out of all of our movie making, what did you think was the most frustrating part on any one of the productions? What would you say that sucked the most?
You know this answer.
I don't know.
You know it's editing.
Oh,
I fucking no. Actual production. I think our problem when it came, especially when we were making, less so in our college years and more so in our high school years, was the fact is when you put 6 of our dumbasses in a room with a camera and we had a quota to hit, and I felt like we never hit that day's quota because we were all either A, jacking around, or B, laughing our asses off because someone would say something and not a single person could keep a straight face. So I think the hardest part of our productions, especially during high school and IB, was getting everything in order so that you could actually like shoot a scene.
Do what you needed to do, yeah.
Because it was controlled chaos.
It was
is what it was.
God, I miss all those days. Cole, what about yourself? What would you say was the hardest part we've ever faced?
I think the hardest thing I ever faced was probably getting the takes. It always took so many takes to get probably scenes right. Like you said, with all the other stuff going on between like laughing or just like working through ideas or just like the acting. Like I'm not gonna say like none of us were pros at all, so it took us quite a bit to get the lines right. So I always felt like the acting and like the getting the scenes right was the most frustrating part. But I had a lot of fun doing it though. Don't get me wrong.
No, definitely. I'm the ones, that I'd be directing or I'd be holding the camera and trying to get the lines out of everybody. Those were always my least favorite moments because it's like we got to get the line, but it's like I feel like such a dick right now because everybody's having a good time and I'm here being like, guys, stop laughing, stop smiling. We got to be serious. So yeah, no, I hear that. Noah, what about you? What for you would be the hardest thing?
I don't know. The hardest part always felt like the technical limitations to me. Like the sound isn't as good as we want the sound ever. And I think of the Come Sail Away into the Woods IB film because like I had a lot of like creative control behind that one. Like Cole was involved with that too. We wrote like a whole script.
Yep.
And we shot half of it, 60-70% of it, and then the last the third act just like wasn't doable and we were running out of time, and that movie sort of, I don't want to say collapses, but like doesn't go the way we intended. So I was always most frustrated by the technical, not having money aspects of filmmaking. And looking back, I wish I would have just like buckled down and like worked on it and focused on it. But when you're doing a million other things, it's hard to it's easier to do what we did and just shoot like a fun, silly ending rather than like achieve the vision we had initially. So, yeah.
Good answer. I feel like for myself, I think like the part of acceptance is something I would always struggle with, where it's like we would try for a take, or I'd try to edit things together. I try to get the right music going, and it would just finally have to be like, okay, this is what it is, and it's not coming out the way that it is in my head. And no matter what I do, like to look back at the Cowboys, it's like editing it together. It's like, okay, we didn't get one, like I can remember so many flaws with different things, not because they were horrible productions or because we screwed up, just mistakes happen. And then it's like, all right, what do we do now? In the end of the Cowboys, I'll never forget, we miss a line. We did not record somebody saying a line. And at the time I couldn't think of any solution. I could not come up with how do we get through this. So it was like, all right, I just have to edit everything so this makes sense. And then I just had to take all the lines and remorph them together, and the story comes out a little differently than what it was intended for. And yeah, and that's just an example. But so many moments like that where it's just getting over how is this not what I pictured, and why is that okay? Noah, you have a question?
I have a question for Atticus, if I may.
Yeah, hop on in.
You said this film is just you and your dad, right?
That is true.
Yeah, so like, does your dad have experience with like filmmaking and stuff, or is he like kind of a first time actor? I think that's so cool because like not in a million years am I shooting a movie with my dad, you know. So like, how'd that come about?
So he doesn't have any experience with filmmaking. He helps businesses with online marketing. So he did ask interview questions for an advertisement that he was hired someone to produce for a company he works for. So he has like a little bit experience on like that kind of set. But kind of in response to you saying you would never work with your dad, I was a little nervous as well. I think he was way more nervous than I was, in all honesty, because I felt comfortable in the fact that I had a very specific vision, and like the story is a kid and their dad. So we fit the bill perfectly for the roles. But honestly, my passion for film and my like view of film has largely stemmed from him and my mom too. But he is very interested in like the aesthetic of filmmaking, the filmmaking process. So he was just as interested in learning more about how to go about it as I was. And that really helped. Because once we got into it after that first day of shooting, I think he realized that I was being very anal about getting the very specific shots I wanted and the vision that I wanted. So I think he was even a little bit frustrated to just like sit back and not say anything. But I mean, honestly, I was so appreciative that he did, because I felt way over my head in the whole thing. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll speak as someone who watched it from the outside. His dad does do a great job in it. He just seriously, I do mean it. It's a kind of a quieter film in that there's not a ton of speaking going on, and yet both Atticus and his dad give their quiet characters a lot to vibe from. So it's nice in that way. All right. Well, I got another question here because let's see, we got time before we got to take a break here. Probably about 6-7 minutes worth. Okay, Atticus, if you were to work on another project, if you could work on another project, what would be important for you that you'd want to include in the next one? Not so much, I don't mean what story would you want to tell, if I might direct this question a little more, but what part of it all, what kind of clay would you want to add to this?
Like, what person would I want working? Like, what kind of person I'd want working with me? Like, would I want a new camera? Like,
what aspect do you feel not so much as missing from this movie? What aspect, if you were to go out and say, all right, now we're going to make another one, what are you going to say? What is the next element I'm adding to this?
Oh, now I see. Well, I want it to be like I want to have an actual team that I can direct, if that makes sense. Like, I most definitely want to be able to direct the next film that I make. So I want to be able to have a team around me that I can like pitch my vision to. Like, for instance, sound. I know jack shit about how to get quality sound for a film. Like, I know there's boom mics, I know there's lavaliers, I know that you got to place them very adequately in order to get stuff. But I want to just have someone that I can direct in that aspect, for instance. as well as cinematography. Like I love cinematography. I love trying to find a shot, but it'd be just great to have someone to collaborate with on how to adequately create the shot that I'm envisioning. Because again, I'm not super knowledgeable about that. So yeah, just having a team that I can collaborate with and direct to execute the vision that I'm looking for, basically, is the next step that I'm trying to take.
Yeah, I'll say it was fun when we'd all get to do it together. Because it was nice. Everybody had different views and we could all get things across. But it was also really nice just having the chance to bank ideas off one another and have fun in the process was really nice. Where no matter how serious a moment might get, it was like, this is awesome. We're fucking rock stars. Yeah. Okay. I also, to talk about you're trying to catch sound and whatnot, I think sound is the hardest thing to do in a movie.
Yeah.
Cinematography is cool and you can do a whole heck of a lot with that. But if you have eyes and you can see, you can do cinematography. All right. Maybe not
Yeah.
as well as some people, but if you can hear, that doesn't mean fucking shit when it comes to getting the right audio. That means literally
Yeah.
nothing. It is you could be working a job 40 hours a week where your job is trying to catch the right audio. And it's like, this is going to take years for you to be good at it. Like
Yeah.
nobody's good at that.
Yeah,
Unless
well,
you
those Gerald videos that you watched, Reed,
Mhm.
what was super cool about making those was that Alec, the guy who did kind of all the production aspect of it, and me and Andrew, the other guy I was working with, did everything story focused and driving everything and directing him. It was super cool to see him using all this fancy sound equipment. And he was basically like, he had the headphones in listening to us through the microphones the entire time. He never had them off while we were shooting. Um, and it was just super cool to see him navigate a set in that way to just try and, because like sound was probably the biggest thing that he was focusing on capturing. And literally, if you don't have good sound for the film, people are going to notice that, like you're saying, and it's just going to bring down the quality so much. So I agree.
Mhm. Yeah, I think on one of our movies, The Cowboys, we have like one of our opening scenes, the camera quality dips really bad because we're outside trying to film in a snowstorm on a negative 40-degree day. Uh,
Oof.
Horseshit. So the camera quality comes out just terrible. We were using Jack's camera. I don't think Jack was even there to do the filming. I think it was just me and our friend Angan doing all that. And it was like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, him and I on this camera. So we kind of screwed ourselves, shot ourselves in the foot.
Was it are you talking about the horse?
Yep, out of Julie's place on the horse.
I
Yeah.
was there.
You
And I
were there.
remember it. Yes, because I filmed it.
Yeah, and
And I
you
remember
were working it.
and I remember it because the problem was it there was it was too much there was too much light from the snow.
Mhm.
It was too bright. So the camera was like it didn't care. I could have you could have put the fancy like lenses over the top
Mhm.
for it to block light, and it wouldn't have mattered. It was just too much light, and the camera just was like, I'm not. It did not want to register a goddamn thing, which sucked because 3 days earlier, when we filmed the first thing we ever filmed, it was just behind Welshinger's house, and that shit looks so goddamn good because the lighting was perfect.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that was perfect. Like, I remember those scenes really well. I remember how to focus on things. Yeah. Well, cool. Anyway, but I bring that up because it was like no matter how shitty it ends up looking, except for about 2 seconds worth of time, the audio can come through pretty well in it. So I felt like we were saved there. Okay. Well, I'm kind of at the end of my rope for questions. I think we're at a moment where we can come to a natural pause here and go to an ad break. Let's say any of you have a question that can't wait till after our break. Anybody question? I see shaking heads left and right. All right, Atticus. Well, we're gonna take a break. Everybody enjoy the ad. I've just had an idea on what this next ad's gonna be. I'm writing it down as we speak. So everybody stick around, listen to the ad. I think I'm gonna get somebody to come back and do an old a character for the advertisement. So maybe you'll all listen here with me. Anyway, shut the fuck up. Go take an ad break. We're gonna go take a little break ourselves, and then we'll come back. All right, we'll be back. All right, everybody, come on back after that advertisement. We're done with that advertisement. Come on in here. All right, we just got done grilling Atticus over the break here, where we kind of asked him the question, where do you get off? And boy, gee, the answer might surprise you. Okay, well, we can continue to talk about Atticus's movie. Did anybody have any other questions between you guys? I've got nothing else written down. I don't know if you guys were holding anything back you want to throw at him. If not, that's
I
fine.
mean, no, I asked one question. That's
That's
more
good.
than enough for
good.
me.
Yeah. You know who I felt like during all that? That one, that Sean fella from the Hot Wing television show.
Yeah,
Sean
you were
Evans.
giving those
Evans.
vibes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
You
was
were
fun.
Not as
kicking
good
ass
as
to say your favorite.
questions, but yeah, perfect questions.
Yeah, okay. Well, now we can just talk about ordinary movies we've seen. I guess.
wait.
Oh, you're just gonna lean in? Maybe I did have a question for Atticus.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on. Ask your question.
How's your day going?
Asshole.
It's going swimmingly.
Good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, hit him.
When's the release date?
I think next Tuesday I'll get it out there. Next Tuesday, everybody who's listening, you can find it at Mini Movies on the YouTube channel. The title is Far From the Tree. Really, I'd say just Google Mini Movies. That's MINNE space MOVIES Mini Movies. You Google that on the YouTube machine, Yahoo it if all hell is breaking loose, and you should find our yellow wagon wheel of a camera reel. And from there, then on, you click onto that, and it'll take you right to where you need to be. Now,
All right.
movies. Anybody watch any movies pertaining to or relating to alien life forms? Noah's got a hand up. Jack and Cole are looking like,
Wait.
oh my God. Oh my
Wait.
God. Cole's chest. Something's going to burst out of Cole's chest. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It happened. Okay.
Terrifying.
Oh, Jack raised a hand. yeah. What are you gonna do? What do you got a question about?
You talking about Alien Romulus? The wait, I have to count here.
Yeah.
The
For all of you
sixth
listening.
installment in the Alien franchise.
Not
Mhm.
counting AVPs, because
Not counting the AVPs.
You could count that.
This is the 6th.
But we're not going
without
to.
Alien
Seventh,
versus
dude.
Predator?
8 if you include AVP 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's 6 because you've got Alien,
You have
Aliens,
4
Alien
original
3,
ones, and then 2.
Alien Resurrection, and then you got Prometheus, Covenant, and now Romulus.
Are you telling me there's an Alien versus Predator 2 out there?
Yeah, it's called Alien Predator,
my
Alien
God.
versus Predator Requiem. Reed, I am not kidding when I say this. It is the shittiest movie ever made.
Dang.
It's
Dang.
worse.
Alien.
It is worse than the Predator.
I don't want to sound like an asshole. I don't want people hearing this and thinking, oh, Reed's just this guy who's trying to hop onto this, movement and everything. But I never understood why people struggle with a female black woman as a lead. In that, I remember watching AVP, Alien vs. Predator, as a kid, and I just thought to myself, hell yeah, that chick's dope as fuck, bruh. I remember that. I was 4 years old. Couldn't even talk yet. Anyway, shall we talk about Alien Romulus? Shall we?
Yeah, we can't talk about spoilers though.
I don't know. Maybe we talk about spoilers because 4 of us have seen us, and that way we can really put Atticus in a corner and ruin this movie for him.
Let's talk
You can-
spoilers, because why
You
the
can
hell?
talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
Have you seen how many Alien movies have you seen, Atticus?
I think I have seen 2 Alien movies.
Hey,
Is it? I know you have, Reed, because that hurt me a little bit reading your review, because I expected somehow for you've seen to see more than Alien and Alien Covenant,
nope, just those 2.
which is actually incredible when I
That's
think about
crazy.
it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think I almost had a chance to see the original Alien again at one point because I think Noah and I were at my house and my mom was like, "When's the last time you boys have seen this movie? You want to watch it with me?" And I was like, "Oh, Ma, I can't. We're doing stuff." But yeah, so I've only seen those 2. Alien Romulus. I thought now that I have the energy to talk about it because the night I saw it was after Noah and I went to Green Day, which one of these episodes Noah and I are going to talk about Green Day for a long time. I don't think we're going
Fuck
to.
yeah.
No, oh my gosh. So I was dead tired, couldn't really write about it. So now my mind is swimming thinking about it. It is, I think, a perfect time to step into the Alien franchise. goes swimmingly well. This movie, from this good story, this good world building, to a safe type of job that it's going to go awry, but you really don't know how fucking bad things are about to get, and things are going to get bad. But as you watch this movie, you'll find, okay, we can get over some things, and then something's going to happen in which you realize, oh man, this was a worse situation than previously thought.
Yep.
It's like my experience watching the movie. When it started out very well, and then quickly went, oh, this movie fucking sucks.
Dude, I love this
Oh,
movie.
so I don't think any part of Alien Romulus sucked. I don't think it sucked whatsoever.
I agree.
I got to see it in the ultra screen, which is that weird curved screen with no reclining seats, so you're kind of like bent forward the whole time.
It's
Sometimes
very uncomfortable.
Yeah, but sometimes it lends itself to the movie.
Well,
and
one sec, I have to lower my hand.
This is one of those, occasions where I like seeing this on the ultra screen, and I think Connor and I agreed. We had a nice discussion after the movie. The first 30 minutes we thought was phenomenal good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it does reach a point where it's okay. It goes an interesting direction. The last 20 minutes goes really off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the biggest standouts of this movie are the synthetics, the androids, because
as they always are.
Blade Runner, Ex Machina are two of my favorite movies I've ever seen. I love are androids humans? Do they feel? I love that debate. I love the discussion. And as Atticus said, I like movies that ask questions and don't answer them. So I love that. I love that vibe. And I thought Andy in this movie is the standout character of the whole thing. I thought he was phenomenal. What I cannot fucking stand, looking at you, Rogue One, is when you CGI dead people into a role in your movie. I don't like it. I'm not saying apparently Ian Holm's family signed off on that. That's fine. That's not for me to decide. Me personally, watching the movie, I do not like seeing an actor I know is not alive act on my screen. I don't like it at all. Not only does it not look good, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I hated that about it. So if there's one thing I hated about Alien Romulus, it's that fucking Ian Holm is in it, and that's not right. That's
also,
my feelings on it.
What's besides it being just a blatantly obvious callback to the first movie, it serves no purpose for him to be in the movie. You could put any other character in that android position, and it wouldn't change anything. It is literally just a callback. That's all it is. That's it, and it's so fucking stupid.
Because story, go on.
Because in every single, even in Alien movies, in the Alien series itself, everyone who plays androids fucking kills it as the android. They're the best actors in the movie. So why don't you get another talented young actor to play the other android opposite of Andy?
I'll say, something on that is, while an actor might lose a position there, a puppeteer came in and did do that work. So I don't think we lose work. I don't think talent goes away. I think we just get a different type of it. But I definitely, it's a lot easier to be able to see somebody else, and somebody can have a much bigger break with an acting spot. I completely agree with you. Ian Holm doesn't need to be in this movie. So that they threw him in there it was fun. And I'll say, as far as reviving dead people to make them play another character, I thought this was probably the best one that I've seen, because it's okay that it looks a little off and that it looks not quite real, because it's not supposed to be real. It's supposed to be an android, but
My question, I was going to say, because Jack had to finish his thought, I was almost going to interrupt him, but it's like there's a story aspect to have the Ian Holm android be in the movie, because then you can do callbacks and you can have references to the original Alien and have him repeat lines that audiences know, right? But from a technical perspective, you're hiring people to develop a technology and work on it, which is resurrecting actors into a movie. And they did it with Rogue One. they do use this technology for like I think they de-aged Mark Hamill for like Mandalorian, and they do it again. Like, is this technology worth developing for movies? Because that's an aspect of it. Is it worth it for producers and movies to keep doing this shit, or is it just does everyone just fucking hate it? Because I feel like audiences don't like it at all.
I feel
I
like
do.
it's costly and concerning, and I think that if we try to, if there's consumerism around it, and people ask for this product of reanimating dead people and generating this AI imagery or CGI imagery of dead people to get them to do whatever you want. I think that is how you fuel the world in which you can make any video of anybody saying whatever you want. And then we get into dangerous misinformation, but that's not this kind of podcast. Noah, you were going to say something.
I was just gonna say, I think at least half the people that saw Alien Romulus over the past week, if not more, probably have no idea that that's what was going on there. Truly, like, really, like if you don't know, how would you know? Like, maybe you think it looks a little weird, but like I know when my mom watched Rogue One, she had no idea that Grand Moff Tarkin was a CGI character. So I think to the casual moviegoer, that technology is basically there already. Like, to me, it's not worth developing because I don't like it. I don't like it on a human level. It's just, and I'm not even saying it's because of a job thing. I'm not saying like they could have cast that role with a different character. I'm saying like Ian Holmes' work is done. He did what he wanted to do. It's done. Let's get someone else for that. I don't know. It creeps me out and I don't like it.
Yeah, because you can it's you like when you know obviously that like that's a CGI character because he's dead. But yeah, you're right. I guess for most people they probably don't realize or know that unless you know the first movie. But
Right.
yeah, it's never gonna look good. It always looks unnatural. And yeah, I don't like it either personally. So I'm with you too.
I never mind seeing it so much. I always think it comes out looking fine, but then as years pass, I think it ages pretty quick. Grand Moff
Yes.
Tarkin, the first big one that I think we ever saw.
For sure. Yeah.
I remember seeing it in theaters. I thought that is nuts. And then I remember seeing it on Disney like a couple months later. I was like, huh, that looks like dog shit. Like, why would they do that? And but no, they work pretty hard. It looks all right. But like,
sorry, I was gonna say, well, the other thing I think is probably the knowledge that the first time you see it, you go, "Oh, that's cool," but then your brain kind of clicks back and goes, "That person's dead." And then when it's kind of like you already know that this isn't a real person, so you know that the illusion's gone. So that's probably why this Ian Holm works for so many people, is because probably a lot of people watching Alien Romulus have never seen an Alien movie before. So when they see that, they go, "Oh, that's a weird looking android guy." I don't know why they CGI'd him, but it's just weird. And then people who have seen Alien go, "Why are they bringing Ian Holm back?" Like, we know that's fake. So that could also be like one of the things too.
Atticus, what do you think on all of this matter? You pro CGI, you anti CGI. Where does your love and hatred for Ian Holm begin and end?
Well, haven't seen the movie, but in terms of this technology, I mean, it seems like they only use it in scenarios to gain not respect, but just like credibility with an audience for a new like re-entry into a product that's from a very long time ago. And it at least like starts a conversation about it like we're doing right now, but it does not seem like they're responding well to it, and it doesn't even like add to the story at all. Like I'm a proponent of using something if it truly helps the story you're trying to tell and the message you're trying to send across. But if you're just doing it for show and to try and make more money, then I'm probably not going to say that it's really necessary. But again, movies are in the money making business generally, so they're going to keep doing stuff that tries to make them do that. I don't think it's helping, but they got smarter people than me doing those numbers, so who the fuck knows?
Yeah. I get it. Without the money, we would not have movies like we have them now. That's something I always say. I think I brought it up last week when talking about the M. Night Shyamalan movie, um, Trap, in which I feel like the trailer kind of gives away some big proponents of it. And I wish we could live in a world where you just got this new movie and you just went to it, and suddenly this whole story got to unfold in front of you. I've had that experience with Rogue One where it was I didn't know what it was about. So, and I know you guys don't love that movie with all your heart. I love the shit out of it because I went into there thinking this is going to be a nothing thing and I don't care for it. And suddenly it was like, wow, there's a whole rich thing here that I have not been exposed to yet. So yeah, I think it would be nice if we lived in a world where money did not have to fund the arts. But here we are now. Without it, we would have just movies we make on our phones. But yeah, I really did like it. And to Noah's point, way back ago, the ethical dilemma that we get in it, or that you kind of get with all the androids, are they human or not? In this movie, Andy has this ethical situation where it's suddenly he's no longer trying to protect the person that he cares about, and his new task is he's got to complete the mission. And then you get this ethical dilemma of like, okay, at what moment does he no longer align with this other person at all, and when is he no longer the Andy that we kind of got to know? That for me, that's the part I love. I love when you get to fall in love with a character quickly, and then suddenly it changes, and you have to decide, when do I stop loving this person, and when are they a threat? I fucking love it. If I might quote Brian Cox.
Well, that's
Nice.
okay. And Andy's is the strongest part of the movie, I think. But what I think sets that up, what sets that up so well is right before that, you get the whole dilemma of it's revealed that she's not taking him with her because he is, at this point, he's disposable. He's just an android. He's not a real person. And then so it's like, okay, that's a shitty thing to do. And then you get this souped up smart Andy who can actually take care of himself and do stuff. And you're like, oh, do I actually have to root for Andy now? Because like he's in a situation that's good for himself. Whereas if he gets the chip removed, he's getting left. So it's kind of like you're in this dilemma now where you're like, okay, Andy's not good. But these people that he's with either don't see Andy as like they see him as just a tool and not as like a living being. And a tool that's disposable. And that's one thing I really liked when it came to him getting switched over, is because all of a sudden they can't talk to him anymore the way they used to, because they realized, oh shit, he's different now and he's actually in control. And it's like he thinks way on a level that we'll never be able to think right now because of the chip he now has in his head. And I thought that was really cool, was that aspect of the movie. It's one of the very few things I like.
Yeah, no, I dug the heck out of it. I had a point to be made, and now I'm losing it because I kind of got swept off my feet by your comments there, my friend.
I do have one question. So, Reed, I know you've seen only Alien and Alien Covenant. Noah, which movies have you seen?
I've seen every Alien movie.
Okay. Cole, I know you haven't seen Resurrection.
That's right.
Atticus, pretend like you are in this conversation.
I've seen Alien and Aliens.
So you've seen the good ones.
Those are the two you need to see.
You don't ever watch another Alien. It's not worth it. Actually, no, I take that back. But so my problem with this movie was, as someone who has seen every single Alien movie up to this point, it felt like a movie where I have seen everything before and already done in the Alien franchise. And that was like one issue I had with it, was because you can argue that every single Alien movie, besides Prometheus and Covenant, is basically the same movie, but by a different director with a little different plot points and done artistically a little differently. If you get what I mean.
Sure. I think Alien and Aliens, which deservedly are looked at as classics because they fucking are, I think those are two pretty different movies. Alien is horror, Aliens is action. And I think this movie is very Alien. This movie is trying for the horror aspects again. And I am 100% in agreement. There's not much in this movie you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that it's going back to Alien when I don't really think any of these Alien movies since 75, 79. When did Alien come out? 79. I think this is the most like the first one in 40 plus years. And so I enjoyed that about it. And I agree with you. Like, you can look at that as, yeah, I've seen this done before, but we haven't seen like this it done in this franchise in a really, really long time. And I'm not a huge, I hate Covenant, and I respect Prometheus. I like, it has nice ideas, but like, it's not a movie I really care to rewatch. So this is kind of going back to the stuff I like about Alien, and that's why for 30 to 45 minutes I was like, yes,
It just fucks you.
Yeah, it felt so good for 35 minutes. It was like, holy shit, we're back. He figured it out. Fede Alvarez is here to save the Alien series.
Yeah.
And then for some fucking reason, they watched Resurrection and were like, let's take the one thing everyone fucking hated in that movie and put it in this one.
Is that thing towards the end?
Yeah, that's the alien human hybrid.
I was gonna say, let's not talk about it. I don't want to spoil it for people. I might bleep you out, actually, dude. I think you're getting bleeped.
Alien human hybrid.
Dude, you're getting bleeped too. Cole, don't even fucking think about it.
We're not talking. Wait, Reed. We're not talking about Romulus. We're talking about Resurrection.
Resurrection, yeah.
See, I saved it there. I saved it.
Yeah.
That's right.
You saved it. Anyway, so there's this thing at the end of Romulus that we haven't talked about at all. Thanks for actually clarifying that you never spoiled anything, and now I don't have to edit any harder. So there's this thing that pops up at the end of Alien, the Romulus. Did you guys like that in the last 10 minutes or so?
No.
You don't like
no,
it?
but there was a jump scare involving that scared the fucking shit out of me.
Yep.
So
that one, it was one right at the end there that got me to made me jump. I thought at that point I was kind of like tired. I wish the movie had ended sooner, in my opinion. I think it went on a little too long, but it's just because the first movie did it where it's like you think the problem's over, and then you discover that, oh fuck, they still got to deal with the alien, and they do it.
Aliens does it.
They do it in that movie. They do it in Aliens. They do it first one. So it's just a thing that these movies do, and it's fine. Like, from a screenplay, like, it's great because it, you have tension, you have conflict, and the story's not done yet, and you have more chances to do something creative or fun or scary. But I thought it was just too long. I was already like checked out by that point.
Yep.
Maybe it's because we see something that we have seen in another movie before. I think that happens. You see this type of a thing in a different one. I gotta say, you see this thing in a different thing. Nod your heads or shake your head no.
Yes.
Okay, I bring that up because maybe you guys have seen those, and then you looked at this and said to yourself, yeah, that thing again, it sucked back then. For me, just seeing this for the first time, the way that it looked, the way it was done, I thought this is the first time, first time in a long time that I am feeling put off. I'm looking at an image or this visual monster thing, and I'm like, that is not right, and I don't like looking at it, and now I'm upset. I have not felt that since I think one of the Annabelle movies, and then before that, I don't know the last time I get that feeling. It's rare.
That's why I asked how many movies you guys have seen, because Alien Romulus, in my eyes, is two different movies depending on who's watching it. For someone like me who has seen every single movie and is super critical of the franchise, isn't going to like this movie as much as someone who hasn't seen all the movies, because they haven't seen what all the franchise has offered.
And so, maybe the reason why I'm so on board where I'm like, this is the right spot to hop in, is because maybe you guys are telling the truth, and it's like, this is just those other movies, and it's just culminated.
It's like, in my opinion, it's kind of like they wanted to get the tone of what it was like to watch an alien movie. That's why it was like the first 30, 45 minutes were like, so like, this feels like the first movie. This feels like how it should be. And that's why it was so cool to have that experience again, because the first Alien movie does have that like slow pacing and that build up and then like building the atmosphere and the world and the tension. And then when the aliens revealed, it feels really cool and exciting. But then this one, the problem with that is like, they're just doing all these things that we've seen again, like with the hallway for example, with the webbing, that's just from Aliens. Like we've seen that shit. And then, having a bunch of them, that's just from Aliens. And then the reveal of like the human thing, they've already done all that. So it's just like maybe they're like, okay, these are all things that like are alien. And this movie feels like they want to capture that tone after the last two movies just felt like so weird and different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I am concerned because Atticus has been really quiet, and I'm actually starting to think he might be a xenomorph.
Well, do you know?
I'm not going to reveal anything.
So
Damn it.
I don't know if the guy. First off, I'm not trying to discredit this movie. I think it's well made. I think so. There's a lot of ideas I don't like about it, but I think from a technical standpoint, it's really cool, especially with practical effects again. The weird vagina pod that the alien comes out of. Like that, all that stuff, like all the effects are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And the monster design for the one thing we're talking about in the last 20 minutes is very, very good monster design.
It's scary.
It's genuinely it's off-putting. You don't like it. It's something you do not like to look at.
You don't want to see it. Yeah.
I want to say this is because I found out today. Do you remember that like 7'7" weird that basketball player?
Yeah. Oh, they used him?
Him up. They used him. He's the guy in the costume.
Makes
and I was like,
sense.
I was like, oh, okay. And I saw the picture of him, and I went, that is like cool that they used him. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, think about being a professional basketball player and then getting the phone call, hey, we need you to come be this spooky thing in this.
You got an ugly monster.
Because you're freakishly tall. We need you to be
freakishly tall.
Oh yeah, cool. Is there a costume? What costume? We're just gonna put you in.
All right.
Yeah, Atticus, have you seen any movies lately you want to talk about? Feel like it's hard for you to hop into Romulus. Anything?
The last movie I saw in theaters was Twisters.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of movies just on my own, but I'm not sure that any of you have seen them. So
we'll go ahead
Try
and name
us.
them.
Try us and say what you want, because I do have Letterboxd pulled up, and I can look at all your history. I'll know everything about you.
You can do that, and I post on Letterboxd when I've seen a new movie, so I don't post anything that I've rewatched. But the last new one I saw was Wild Strawberries. Anybody? Nobody?
No.
It is. So it's written and directed by Ingmar Bergman, who did the Seventh Seal.
I've seen that.
With Max von Sydow. They're actually released in the same year, which is kind of crazy.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's super interesting because the premise is basically an older professor wakes up from a dream. Like the first scene is like this like weird dream that he has, which is incredibly like visually striking. And then he wakes up.
You are visually striking, my friend.
Oh, I know, but thank you for telling me. And then he decided that it's the day that he's getting like recognized for as many years as a doctor professor or whatever, and he decides that he's going to go drive to it with his daughter-in-law. And I don't know, just the way it's told between it kind of flashes between this like dream memories he has that of the house he and his family went to every summer, and they're coinciding with this day that he's having driving to get this award with his daughter-in-law. And the kind of the purpose of the film is just him reflecting on all of the choices he's made, and he has like a very bleak outlook on life, and is like it's a very dark and desolate place, all that jazz.
Lovely.
I don't want to get too into it because I would genuinely recommend watching it, because it's the same thing that me and Noah mentioned of like it asks a lot of questions of like humanity, what we owe to each other, and like the psyche of our memories and the things that impact us. I don't know, because just this guy's life unfurls before you because you start off viewing this guy as this like incredibly depressed man who doesn't care about anybody else. And then you slowly get all of these things about his backstory, and he interacts with all these people that have different viewpoints about the world. I don't know. It felt very much like a classic novel almost. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And what's the name of it again?
Called Wild Strawberries.
Wild
It's
Strawberries.
When do they pick wild strawberries?
Seems like a
like
hard time to
15
go.
minutes into the film.
I knew it.
Well, like you said, it's the guy that made Seventh Seal.
Yeah.
And Jack, I don't know if you still have it, but I know you lent me your login info to Criterion Channel back in the day.
I still
And
have it.
Seventh Seal was one of the movies I watched on there.
No, are you
And
gonna plug
there's-
Jack's login information for all the listeners?
Yeah, let's drop it in the
I
comments.
could use that.
But there is an image in that movie. I think it's called like The Walk of Death that has like stuck in my mind my whole life. So like I like when you said the title Wild Strawberries, I didn't know what you were talking about, but like I've heard of this movie and it's been on my list for like a long time because I know this guy's kind of on a different level when it comes to
Yeah. He's super influential. Like I wasn't sure what the premise of the podcast was, so I did like research on the movie before coming on, which is actually really interesting. But it's actually in a 1963 interview, Kubrick says that it's his second favorite movie of all time.
There you go. Yeah.
Nice.
And I don't know, it's just so good. I have a hard time describing movies when I'm not having somebody bounce ideas off of. So I don't feel like I'm doing it justice, but it's just super striking visually. He gives a lot of trust in his actors. He uses the same actors in basically all of his movies. And the main guy in this, who plays the older guy, this is his last ever appearance in a film, and he was a famous silent film director who was actually the Ingmar Bergman's idol growing up. It's super interesting. Lots of strange connections. What's that?
His name is Victor Sostrom. Just thought I'd throw that trivia out there, gang. Sorry to interject so crudely.
Thank you, Reed.
Just thought it was important.
It is important.
All the Sodstromiacs out there.
If I might say, if you are interested in another highbrow, intelligent movie about dreamlike sequences and the questions on life, I would highly recommend The Mirror.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Alien 3.
I thought you were gonna say Enfant Hitler.
Alien 3.
Can we talk about Alien 3?
I do like to think the Enfant Hitler is my Tarkovsky's The Mirror, but they're
It's really your
very
Alien
incomparable.
3.
No, but I really mean that. The Mirror is fucking incredible by Andrei Tarkovsky.
Hey Jack, look what I bought at Criterion like 2 months ago.
Hey, buddy.
Dang, it's
That's
The
awesome.
Mirror. The movie's The
Wait.
Mirror. He's holding the mirror for
Oh,
you
yeah, that's
listeners.
true.
Wait, everyone, wait. Jack's
Not a
searching
visual
for-
effect.
Oh my god.
Oh,
It's
it's
a
I also
photo
want
copy
it.
of The Mirror.
Wow.
Oh,
It's a
wait,
good
so
movie,
I
hold
do
on.
wanna
I
watch
think
that.
hold on, guys.
It's
I think I
incredible.
might have something up. No, I don't have the mirror. Sorry.
Wait a
guys.
minute. I've got a reflection.
Wait.
Whoa, you
Wait
got
a
the
mirror.
mirror.
He's got the mirror.
Yeah, it's got a mirror too. All right. Cole's got a mirror. I'm not running. I'm not.
Reed, you're left out.
That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah,
Funnily enough,
Alien
though-
3.
All right, we have seconds. We don't have seconds. We have plenty of time, but we have about a minute because I want a little extra time to have private talk so these listeners don't have to deal with it. Cole, what do you got to say about Alien 3?
Oh, I was just gonna say it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. The production's awesome. Story kind of sucked though. It lost me about 30 minutes into it. It lost me.
Dang. Well, we were at our house here. We were going to sit down. We're going to have a few weeks of movie watching of different types of things. We're going to do an Alien week, and then we didn't know what else to call it. I suppose we'd call it foreign films, but it's probably going to end up being like Parasite and Old Boy, and then we're going to watch a bunch of John Carpenter films, and it's all going to culminate naturally at Big Trouble and Little China.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch his best movie, The Thing?
No.
I
His
don't
best
know if
movie
that
is
was on the list.
Halloween, and that's
No,
not.
no, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
seriously.
no. It's the thing.
Hey,
It's
fun,
the thing.
awesome life fact here for me and Noah, and maybe you guys. Noah, there's 2 Halloween video games coming out, and one of them is going to be 8-bit, but the other one that John Carpenter is heavily attached to, nobody knows what it's about. Nobody knows what's going on, but he's like in it. He's
Oh.
deep in it.
Ooh.
I didn't know that.
It's really interesting.
Reed, I don't want to burst your bubble,
Came out,
but
yeah,
it's probably gonna be the Friday the 13th game, but Halloween. So
Dude,
like
you're not bursting my bubble, man. You're blowing into my bubble. You're blowing it. All right, let's. If everybody listening, thank you very much. We do this weekly. Again, you can find next Tuesday. I suppose that this will come out this day if you're hearing this. Far from the Tree on Mini Movies. It's MINNE or MINNE space movies. Mini Movies. Far from the Tree. Atticus Hodges. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, let's. I just
Wow.
applauded them. I don't know if it came through. We got some snaps in there. All right. Well, thank you all for listening,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next time. Bye.